to Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's edition of CovInspiration with Dayo Israel. We're here today again. They said desperate time requires desperate measure. So I'm not in my usual corner today. Today I am actually out and about, but technology gives us a chance to reach out to the people that matter to us, no matter where they are, no matter how far, and where they may be. Today in the studio, we have the Honorable Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget in Lagos State. He is a technocrat, a businessman, a banker, a former banker, an author, a well-read man exposed from Wharton Business School to INSEAD and many, as you can imagine. Please welcome with me Mr. Samuel Egube, the Honorable Commissioner. Honorable Commissioner, good to have, or is it evening, should I say?
It depends on what part of the world you are.
Good evening from Lagos, Nigeria. How are you doing, sir?
Excellent.
Excellent. It's so good to see you. How are you coping, by the way, in this COVID season? How is COVID on your side?
Well, COVID is everywhere in the world. So it is what I would say it's constant around the world, and everybody needs to innovate to survive and to beat it and to thrive despite COVID. So that's where we are. I think we are thriving in the circumstance. A lot of challenges because they are new, it's novel to the entire world, and we are figuring our way intelligently through it.
Honorable Commissioner, who would have imagined that at this time of the year and at this season in particular, that the world was going to be on a standstill? What was your plan for this time of the year? Holiday for summer? Were you supposed to be preparing for that this time? What are you meant to have been doing at this time of the year, according to your initial plan?
At this time of the year, I was supposed to have triggered our entire construction work that would have started, and I would have been happy in the idea that every construction outcome which we have programmed to undertake under the budget would have been underway. But bingo, that was COVID. But we're here, and we still do what is required to get back our projects and our programs back on course. Irrespective of the COVID challenge.
The reality is that you are one of the most affected in Lagos State by the COVID, because now all the work that you have done, your budget estimation, what you appropriated, what you prepared based on the price of oil, barrel of oil, and all of that, it's all, and even your expected revenue, IGR, and what have you, it's all gone into the bunkers. How do you intend to deal with this?
Well, that's not the frustrating part of it, I'll tell you. The frustrating part of it is that even when you are saying, look, there's an economic headwind coming, everybody believes it's just a health pandemic. But I keep saying it's not just a health pandemic, it's a health and economic pandemic happening at the same time. You do not want to come together at the same time. You don't want to be ill and at the same time not have money.
Have money. And so the governor has been talking a lot about budget reordering and all of that, and we are trying to ensure that we can put the money where it's needed most. How is that coming on your side?
Well, it's coming in a very interesting manner. Just past ESCO today, where the budget reordering was considered and approved. We shall begin to utilize the content of the reorder with our colleagues in the House from tomorrow, begin to engage them to share perspectives and on what they think and basically evaluate our positioning on the budget. But it's impressive all around the world. There are huge challenges. We had started out with 1 trillion budget for revenue. 1 trillion budget, looking at revenues of about 1 trillion. We have said internally generated revenue was 886, while our federal transfer, which basically only constitutes about 18%, was going to be about 800, 105. It was a very interesting expectation which we had, because we also felt we would do a budget capital to recurrent expenditure split of 61 to 39, with a whopping 711 billion capital side and 418 billion on the recurring side. So we're ready to go. I mean, our MDAs were all ramped up. Federal Ministry of Works and Infrastructure was out there, had gone through. We are about to announce various flags off of projects around Lagos. The weather was good, and suddenly a pandemic came up, and that's the challenge of life.
How did we perform in the first quarter? And what are you? Obviously, the pandemic has affected our second quarter performance. How would you rate our performance in both quarter, and what are your thoughts?
Okay, first quarter generally went well, as we thought it would. We were 6% ahead on the revenue side, because of the processes into procurement and into mobilizing the contractors, together with the slowdown at the mobilization stage. Our spend on our capital expenditure was not as we intended it to be. So even though we're 106 on the revenue side, and 80% on the recurrent side, recurrent expenditure keeps running anyway,
Yes.
And on the capital side, we're just about 41%. So when you look at the performance of the budget, we were at 56% performance of the budget, which in my view is okay. I would say it's okay, especially because given the performance sequence usually of the budget, you find that the first quarter tends to be slow, and then the acceleration happens in the second quarter. But I think this second quarter will be moving along with a partner called COVID-19, and we just see how we maneuver that partner and win, so that our people get better than worse outcomes from COVID-19.
And my point to you before we went live on the studio was, with the reordering of the budget, what industries is government going to be investing in? What industries are we expecting to really get a lot of push? And what industry, let me not talk about the other side, but what industry are we expecting to see a lot of push?
So generally, there are three elements to what we need to do. One is to maintain a very strong pandemic response, which Mr. Governor has been leading from the beginning as the incident commander, supported by our Commissioner for Health. And we expect that leadership will continue in a very strong way. The second is to try and restart the Lagos state economy, which is under consideration. Listening to Mr. Governor in his address yesterday, it's important to understand that a lockdown is not viable in a long run, right? So it's a short-term tactics to allow planning and to allow various codification of our systems, and also learning about the pandemic to happen. The last is to reimagine the way Lagos will begin to operate subsequently, and a lot of things have changed in the way all of these things basically play out. I mean, we've had several cabinet meetings now, all online. Have challenges in various sectors, but some of the areas we look at, we must continue to look at health and continue to invest in health if you want to remain strong. And thankfully, the House of Assembly approved a 20 billion COVID special expenditure allowance for the state government, and that has been very, very helpful. So we'll be looking at continuing to support health and to ensure that all our management infrastructure remain very strong. We are looking at moving on to begin to look at the state infectious disease research center, because for things that are novel like this, you need a research capability to be strong, and so we are unlikely to even take down or reduce the budget for health, both on the capital side and on the recurring side. We need to continue to take care of our health workers and give them the right level of welfare attention as possible. Continue to pay those hazard allowance and COVID allowances to just ensure that they are happy for the sacrifices which they are making on behalf of us all. You also understand that education has been severely challenged, right? And a lot of the program, some of the programs which we figured of, we hope to continue, like the Eco-Equip program. But now we are going to trigger off the Education Trust Fund, because we need to begin to intervene in that trust fund in an interest and in a more direct manner, and to ensure also that our quality steps up the game, because the new way of learning requires that quality must continue to be intact. So we have that sector that we need to ensure we continue to drive on a sustainable basis. But beyond that, the entire construction sector, construction activity, we should continue to support it, because they are a very huge employment set for our people. You know, between construction, agriculture, and technology, we will continue to support those sectors, because on one side, education and health, in moving into telemedicine and education with technology, we now need infrastructure of telecommunications and our fiber infrastructure. I'm sure you must have heard that the House of Assembly did give us a no objection for our broadband infrastructure project, which is 3,000 kilometers of broadband fiber infrastructure around Lagos, to bring the huge which we have underwater into the city. And we believe all of that will create significant activity and innovation out of our tech sector, and also encourage it. But you know, one of the things you see we experience in COVID is the challenge around food security. So the budget is going to begin to look at how we intend to intervene in the agri sector, and there are several things in that engagement that we have now committed to in the reorder, looking from continuing our Lagos our Lagos Food Production Center at Ogborosu, Badagry, to our rice mill intervention, to our aquaculture centers, and then our food markets. We believe that if we creatively pursue this, it will work. But above that, I mean, there's general unemployment that we need to keep strong. And what we will be doing is to intervene in the SME sectors, whether it is whichever sector it is, sectors that do employ a lot of labor and people that we can take to training. Because the truth is that people will need to learn new ways, right, of doing things and develop new skills to compete and to participate in this new environment. And so we expect that LSTF will be intervening in small and medium-scale enterprises to try and give them some soft landing in terms of soft loans to take care of their working capital within acceptable risk criteria. So we're likely to increase our commitment to LSTF in the reordered budget, but also to see how we can specially intervene, especially in the entertainment, tourism, and the hospitality sectors that has been so deeply at this time. So we'll be using our volunteer corps, using our entire initiative around internship program to try and keep people at work and to try and support the system. We'll also ensure that as we go through all our big construction projects and the rest, that the people from Lagos who are resident in Lagos have a first call in the community which those infrastructures are going ahead.
Honorable Commissioner, thank you so much. But the reality is, okay, so let me two questions in one. First, people say money. When we're sharing palliatives, people were like, oh, this and that. Lagos is rich. Lagos is a rich state. Is Lagos really rich? That's the first question. Now, irrespective of whatever wealth status is in Lagos, everything is shrinking. Business are not an option. Nobody has money. Nobody wants to tax. Do you intend to continue to sustain the base or generate income for things that we want to do in Lagos with the current pressure from COVID-19?
So whether Lagos is rich, I think that Lagos is the richest state in the country, and I believe it's one of the richest cities in Africa. Now, but again, how do you evaluate rich? In monetary terms, you can look at the total absolute numbers in which we get. So you see Lagos having 80% of its revenue from internally generated revenue. But when you look at it from a per capita situation, and you look at the population of about 22 to 25, the whole of Nigeria is actually a very poor space, right? In that sense, when you look at it from the per capita income, and Lagos is not different. But when you look at it from the potential in terms of when you look at the intellect of Lagosians and their various, the resilience of the Lagos people, the innovation capabilities of the Lagos people, and their ability to thrive under very difficult circumstances, then you say Lagos again is very rich. So this is where we have a lot of confidence, because we feel that if we galvanize Team Lagos into action and are able to extract all the good aspects of the people of Lagos and we work together, Lagos, we're able to come out with outcomes that ensures that Lagos is making the greater Lagos which we are trying to develop, right, would be a sustainable idea. So it is our pride that the people of Lagos can do it. It's our pride that the people of Lagos are ingenious enough, to make things happen. We've seen them intervene and combine their effort with government in this period, and it gives us the confidence that indeed Lagos is a rich place. We just need to get the wealth out of the mind of our people and operationalize it in our space.
Now, the second part of my question was talking about how are we going to finance and continue to do the great work that the government wants to do when the tax base is shrinking, the internal generated revenue is shrinking. What are the alternative strategies to ensure that Lagos continue to have money to do the things that the governor wants to do?
So money comes from the activity of the people. Money doesn't come from the sky. It comes because people are doing business with each other. It
and
comes,
with the lockdown,
yeah, because people are so is the reason why I said earlier that a lockdown is not a viable proposition for a marathon, right? So when we decided to execute a lockdown strategy, it was basically to get us ready for the long haul, right? And to ensure that people do not behave or become careless without guidelines in the short run. So the challenge facing us now is not how long the lockdown will be, but what do we need to do to make gradual easing of the economy, or the economic activities of Lagos residents. What do we need to do to make it safely possible? And Mr. Governor did announce in his press conference yesterday, the Safety Commission is doing a lot of work in collaboration with other MDAs to attempt to codify, I mean, what would be required by various businesses to open. It's not a rush. Like I said, it's not a sprint. So it will happen gradually. It will be monitored. It will be codified. We'll read the outcome of each step that we take to just ensure that every step is a first step in the right direction. Now, as people begin to transact, and one of the things you understand is that we really never we didn't grind the entire economy of Lagos to a halt. We created safe corridors for people who were doing food items, who were supporting the health sector, people who were in agriculture and into food production generally. There were also activities, even though limited, around other spaces, especially as people started to leverage technology to do some form of work. So Lagos didn't really grind to a halt per se, and we just need to begin to open it sensibly. Now, as we open it, as transactions go on, of course, one of the things about transaction is income, is consumption, and all of those things tend to bring revenue support to Lagos, right, as dictated by the people of Lagos, so that we can then do more for the people of Lagos as we have planned.
What lesson are you taking away from COVID-19 experience, and what would you do differently in the coming budget? But in particular, what lesson are you taking away from this experience?
Well, I wouldn't say it's a lesson, because sometimes when you look at Lagos, Lagos looks like the leadership of Mr. Governor. As I look back and see all the plans that we have and had, you just find out that it appeared that he saw the future ahead. And so there's really all the things we said we wanted to do in the team's agenda are very important. Like now, I'm talking about the 3,000 broadband infrastructure that has been approved. It's germane for times like this, right? When we talk about the smart city project, it's important for times like this. When we launched the technology hub, it's for times like this, you know. One of the things, I mean, basically, is just to say that there are many things we have planned to do that we now need to accelerate. When it comes to digitizing Lagos, we've made the right kind of investment in Lazra, in our resident ID systems. We did the right thing, right? We just need to accelerate it, because nobody thought COVID would come in the first quarter, or was even anticipating COVID. But in anticipation that things like this will happen is the reason why our biosecurity and pandemic and epidemiology centers were actually built strongly ahead of time. You can imagine if Lagos fell like a pack of cards when it came into Nigeria, then the nation would have been in trouble. But we had invested ahead in building those capacities, you know. Is the reason why we are able to hold on the way we have held on and provide leadership for the country. So what I have learned, we've learned more than ever that when we said IDs or resident IDs were important, it's important we drive it very strongly as we had planned to. Just now, it is become like an emergency to drive it. When we wanted to say, look, technology is the way, and we needed to support it disproportionately, it is becoming obvious. We were correct when we said that at the beginning, and those projects will go on their way. One thing that was not very obvious, though, was that the speed with which you could come into a challenge with our food security in Lagos. So we are doing things quite aggressively. We're investing now in the reorder disproportionately in agric, right, for the purpose of improving, employing a lot of people, but also to pursue our food reserves initiatives, right, so that we are not caught flat-footed.
Thank you so much, Honorable Commissioner. I'm going to, in the second part of this interview, I'm going to go talking about the achievement of the administration in the last 1 year and the governor and all of that, in particular, as we go towards celebrating his first year in office. But before we go into that part, I want to finish on the economy. And I have a lot of questions from different people. Someone said, internally, has invested in capital expenditure. However, the in investment in areas like health and technology. How are you going to ensure? So I think that you've answered major source of revenue with the COVID-19 well. There was a question about that in January. You spoke about the expansion of the tax net in January before the COVID issue came up. That we're going to be able to generate 500 billion naira. Hello,
I'm sorry, it appears I've lost communication with you.
hello.
I'm not. Yeah, I can hear you now. I didn't quite hear the question.
Okay, so I said that there were concerns that you mentioned in January that Lagos was going to get 500 billion from the LIRS, and that was a projection from you by expansion of the tax net. Still feasible at this stage.
Well,
I think we're having big.
it is no more the world that we knew it has changed, right? But what I would tell you is that our first quarter shows that we were on target. And yeah, we are not on target by accident because there were several things we had put in place to ensure that we did the right thing. We had invested in our revenue generation agencies. We had given them the tools to work with and to help them to be productive. We had kicked off certain initiatives, right, around our land use act reform, land use charge reform. This eventually has now been approved by the House of Assembly. We had LACIDRATE that had been kicked on to organize the real estate sector, and we were on to organize the transport sector. And all that combined was setting us on track to deliver all that we had planned to deliver. Also to share with you that we had then created an internal mechanism for self-assessment and peer review mechanisms that will focus and watch the performance and evaluate the performance against very key KPIs, which the governor himself, Mr. Governor, was going to sit over and review on a month by month basis, looking at how all of the initiatives will be executed and where there are challenges, resolve it straight away. So all of that were already in position, and it started to show because even in the first quarter, you see that we went past the budget, even though technically it's a generally slower quarter. But we went past it, right? But then comes COVID, and with COVID comes a new strategy, a new space, a new reality, so the reason why we are doing a reorder because we do not expect that things are normal. Therefore, we shouldn't expect the same results that we thought because COVID was not part of it. But the idea is that in terms of the strategy which we are now deploying, it will basically take us through a U-curve and onto recovery within the year, I believe. Hello, Dayo, are you there? Hello, Dayo. Okay. It will appear that while I wait for Dayo, um, as we wait, I just feel maybe I should just generally go ahead. So, in the long run, one of the things that is important when you are challenged with a situation like this is not necessarily to stay stuck and hope that the situation as you knew it would return back to normal. I think what is more important is for you to be creative in your going forward ideas and your going forward concept. I believe that at times like this, people keep asking me about Lagos. What will Lagos do? And I say just watch out, not only for government, but watch out what the entrepreneurs in Lagos will do, because government, right, is not in business. They do not drive commercial enterprises directly. It is the businesses of Lagos that actually make Lagos a great place to be. When people come from other states to come and spend their time and make Lagos their residence, they do so because of the capacity and the vibrant nature of the city of Lagos, right? And therefore, if a change is going to happen in Lagos, it's going to happen because the businesses of Lagos stood up in the days of their challenges and made a difference in the way they ran their businesses. So generally, I will encourage the businesses that are situated in Lagos to begin to think differently, to begin to see what other alternative use they can use their assets for to transform it into productivity and to employ people that are in Lagos. So it's not business as usual. People say, okay, businesses are going down. Of course, when there's a major shift like this, businesses will go down, but also businesses will also rise, right? Will also really rise in a time like this. And we are known for that in Lagos. We are known to be creative. We are known to be innovative. We are known to be able to maneuver challenges and create new paths to success. And that's one of the major things I would like to message I would like to leave for the people of Lagos. I would also like to encourage people to find ways that government announce that businesses will have to register to reopen. Watch out for the announcement and guidelines for officials, and make sure you register your businesses so that we can know you and we can take you through a systematic way by which sometime in the future we can all reopen. It's a combined effort between the state and the people, and every time we work together collaboratively, we make big things happen. I mean, I saw that happen during the pandemic. People, corporate organizations, individuals combined with Lagos to bring about palliatives to the people of Lagos. But not only that, I saw people and organizations intervene directly to be their brother's keeper. And one of the things Mr. Governor said at the presentation of the last budget of the 2020 budget to the House of Assembly is that we must begin to relook at our communal living, the way we live with one another. And I think that is what the pandemic is also showing. It's not enough to think about yourselves anymore or to think about what someone else will do. I think it's also important to see what you will do for your neighbor and what kind of actions, whether it is in the services you provide or in the goods you provide that help the general public become better. I see a question from Omo Bolanle from Akure. He says, how will government drive commercial businesses? Well, it is not the job of government to drive commercial businesses. It's the job of business owners to drive commercial businesses. But what government will do is to create an enabling environment. We are constantly working to improving our ease of doing business and to ensure that it becomes easier and easier to do business in Lagos. Also, MSMEs are a very important driver for the Lagos economy. And it is our commitment, working with our Lagos Employment Trust Fund, to intervene in a deliberate and methodical way, in a risk-accepted way, right, in the sectors that matter, that grow employment and grow the economy. And because of that, there's a very strong likelihood that we'll be making an increased commitment in that sector to make this better. But like I always say, and I'll keep repeating it here, right? Let that effort be mutual, because no matter how well government intervenes, if the private sector does not rise up to the challenge in terms of innovation, right, and in terms of audacity and in terms of courage, then not much will happen. So we believe with the nature of people we have, everything will stream out. It will be very challenging. The challenge will continue to get better and better and better till we take the bend in our respective businesses. Okay, I have a question here, I think, from Ronke Olubamiche. It says Lagos is a good case study for economic development and sense of nationalism, which doesn't encourage corruption but promotes commitment and leadership in all areas. How is Lagos working with the southern states and other states in Nigeria to show of sustainability development, and how can the federal government learn or be made to toe the same great development commitment? One of the key ideas of the current government is to promote intergovernmental cooperation. It doesn't matter what party you belong to. Once you come into government, you know that it is the people that matter. And so from the beginning, Mr. Governor has committed to working very hard in ensuring we build the relationships with the federal government and the machineries of government at the center, but also to steer very positively the cooperation between states around the southwest and our neighboring states like Ogun, right? But beyond that, Lagos State is very active in its participation in the Governors Forum, where we contribute our quota. And if you know, the Governors Forum also is also very active in trying to influence policies nationwide. So you must work with all of these institutions. There's the Dons Commission. We have an advisor, a special advisor or assistant to the governor that is dedicated on the Don Commission, which is the commission that actually oversees our activities with the Southwest. So this cooperation must continue, and we must continue to look not only at ourselves, but also at the broader good. Now that the nation comes under challenge, you cannot say that is Nigeria and my state is insulated. So it's important that we work together, and Lagos State has that huge commitment to keep the work going and to keep the cooperation alive. And there are several deliberate steps which we take from time to time to make that happen. So just to say lastly, while I'm expecting Dayo, I see some of the questions coming, to say that from the beginning, this government has said that when Lagos listen, when Lagos speaks, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, the governor of Lagos State, Mr. Governor, listens. And that is at the heart of what we do. We believe that with cooperation, we can do more than less. So it's important that Lagos and Lagosians continue to speak and continue to contribute to the body of ideas that help lead their city, and begin to approach this pandemic with a little bit more positive mind and attitude rather than fear, because where fear is present, production becomes difficult, innovation becomes difficult, and creativity becomes difficult. The people of Lagos are not known to be like that. So let us keep the spirit on. Let's encourage one another. Let's rethink the way we operate and rethink the way we do our businesses and keep on the fight. We believe that things would systematically improve over time. We are known to get things better quickly. And I believe that if we continue to follow the guidelines as people come out, put on your face masks, listen to the guidelines, and let's be responsible for ourselves and for each other to ensure that we do the right thing so that together we can get the right results out of all the things that we have set out to do. Lagos is a great place. It has a great leadership, and we believe that with this leadership, we definitely would drive the affairs and the outcomes of Lagos to where we want it to be. Thank you very much. I don't know if there are any other questions that I could take. And it's interesting, you know, it's interesting to see, and I think this is what Lagos is about. You know, when you have challenges, you just innovate. So suddenly I have become the host at the same time. Dayo, thank you, you're back.
I am here. I'm back. So I'm so sorry. I was driving home, so I just had to rush inside the house.
I did not throw my hands in the air, you know, and say this is it. But and keep on going.
Thank you, Honorary Commissioner. Thank you. It's for a greater Lagos.
Okay, there's a message.
Please go ahead. You're doing very well.
There's a message from Bumi Lawson. I think he says, well done for all the work that Lagos State has done so far, especially in managing COVID-19 infections. You spoke about an education trust fund. When will schools, public and private, resume physical classes? Okay, what I can say, I wish the Commissioner for Education was here with me. I would just say that it is not clear. The whole idea about COVID-19 is novel. So we do not know how it's going to behave. What we will say is that the same plan that we are working for the entire business community to just ensure that we're able to codify certain methodology, right, by which people can open safely, will also apply to schools. In the meantime, let every form of learning continue. Let's begin to innovate how we learn. If you're at home with your children, help them, support them. I'm sure various schools are undertaking different ways and using different platforms to ensure people continue to learn. Learning is always going to be a continuous process. But as to exactly when the schools will reopen, I think your guess is as good as mine, to me.
Thank you, Honorable Commissioner. Now I can take over from where you stopped. You have done a fantastic job, and that shows that the Honorable Commissioner, as a matter of fact, he was our chairman on our strategy team. He's a facilitator, he's a trainer, and today he's also a presenter. Thank you so much. So, Honorable Commissioner, enough of the politics, the economies, and the policy issue. Let's talk about our 1 year. We before the election, to the glory of God, we were all part of the whole back end work, strategy, researching what was going to happen, and you were a critical part of that process. Are you satisfied now? Are you happy right now where we are in 1 year? Do you feel that, yes, we are on the track in fulfilling all those things that we're planning back in the days? How do you feel right now, 1 year into the government?
First of all, I am still excited at the opportunity to serve in the government. I'm delighted in the other members of cabinet that we have and the quality of the Lagos cabinet. One of the main things which we said at that time was the fact that we needed participation and we needed a lot of public engagement. And I'm sure we can see a lot of that happening. And it's because Mr. Governor has a very open-minded mind. He's very open-minded. He has an open mind. and he's not at all intimidated by intelligence, because he opens he opens the conversation to the table, because he himself is a very deep critical thinker. In terms of the things we said we would do, I would really say we are on course. Of course, there are challenges from time to time. But Dayo, if you remember, when we talked about the broadband, and I'm sure you heard the House of Assembly did just give us that approval. If you remember, we talked about the smart city. Also, that is also ongoing. We've signed the agreements, and that has moved on. We talked about the rails, and today discussions are far gone as to trying to push the rails into financial close. And those rail projects are very complicated projects anywhere in the world, right? And it's our belief that God helping us, and that we will pull that off as well. And that was major. We're talking about our last mile mobility systems, right? That also is on track, right? And then when you talk about infrastructure generally, apart from this delay that you have seen as a result of the COVID pandemic, right? I can see the plan, and I have the money for that plan, because we raised a bond, and we were so proactive in the raise of the bond, right? We got it over. It was oversubscribed. It was at a rate of about 12%, which was the lowest ever, and it was a 10-year bond, the longest ever as well. So we succeeded at that, and that is why we are confident that we can deliver on all of those initiatives. Whether it is on transportation, we talked about our mobile device. That is the mobile device for enforcement. That is also work in progress. And soon, hopefully, we should get around signing the MOU that kicks that off, right? When we then go into the education sector, we talked about Eco-Equip, talking about using technology to stimulate early development. And I'm sure you can testify, because you are also in school, right, that we've made a big audacious move in that direction. And it's currently the first batch of schools are already on their way. And the idea is to expand that initiative. We did say we are going to partner with international institutions also to help the education system. I'm happy to tell you also that we have partnership, for example, with Cornell, right, with Lagos State University, to bring programs in. We're also looking at the entertainment sector and the kind of training and all of those things that we want to undertake. Now, there's a lot of work going on in the health sector, right? We have commissioned some of those hospitals, the mother and child hospitals, right? And as we speak to you, you saw the expansion at the Bagada Hospital, right? And we are currently reworking the design for our primary health care and our general hospitals, so that they are designed for purpose, and then we'll go ahead and implement it. If you look at the bond listing, you'll find out that health is there. We mean we've prioritized it, and therefore the funding is available to deploy to achieve that, right? We just also are looking at opening up, looking at the challenge on the Lekki Express Road. We're looking on starting up the regional road, which is going to be parallel.
Honorable Commissioner, let me stop you at that one. That is one of the experiences that I will never forget about Mr. Governor. I remember that day in that our conference room that we were doing all the paperwork. There was a huge projection of that corridor. And Mr. Governor, at that time, he was only a candidate. I don't even think we had done the primaries at that time. And it was projecting and saying, when God does this for us, this is what we're going to. We're going to open the regional road. There's a coastal road by this. We're going to open it. So seeing that being put in place now makes me know that this man knows what he's saying. And when I tell people he has a passion for Lagos, everything we're doing today, he saw it, he said it, he planned it. And you know,
I agree with that today that prayer has been answered. So God hears
Yes.
Mr. Governor when he prays.
Absolutely.
So that's also happening. So you are going to see a lot of roads, which we call like it's an urban regeneration mix around Victoria Island, around Ikoyi, and to get those things coming. But these roads are also spread across other areas of Lagos. The Shuti Road out of Alimosho is going on. The entire drainage system also has been approved for execution. And then the school rehabilitation program, they are all going on at the same time. So when I look back, I feel very excited to be part of the team. I feel that we are strongly on course. COVID has been has been a very strong challenge. But when challenges come like this, I think we just need leadership. We need leadership in government, and we have one in Mr. Governor. And
absolutely.
Various leaders in the private sector take up the responsibility and provide leadership everywhere. And there's no how if we do this together, I won't get the outcome that we see. These things that we planned are good for Lagos, and I believe together we can make it happen.
Absolutely. Honorable Commissioner, so as we wrap up now, I want to go to the lighter part. Where were you when you heard that you were going to be in the cabinet? And what was your first reaction?
Where I actually was in Paris. I was in Paris doing some work for Mr. Governor. And he was supposed to join us the day after. And suddenly my phone began to buzz because some list had been released. And I was trying to understand what the list meant, and I had been nominated to be in cabinet by Mr. Governor. It was a very emotional moment. I'm traditionally from Delta State. So my expectation while we did all of those works were not, were just because, listen, if we do not changing Lagos, whether you're in government or not, Lagos will not change. But to be invited to participate, I felt deeply touched, felt deeply humbled, and felt deeply honored.
It is such an honor to first be able to serve, and also in particular to be able to serve in the company of someone as bright, as energetic as Mr. Governor. And I know that Lagos is better for having him. In this, as we celebrate this 1-year anniversary of this administration, what is your message to Lagos and Lagosian?
My message to Lagosian is that let us approach development from a positive angle. Let's look at the development of Lagos and let us participate in it in any way we can. Let us believe that the current administration of Lagos means well, and let us support the administration. Let us understand that no one person can do it all, and therefore, if the collective capacity of Lagos is pulled together, like Mr. Governor wants to do, and we offer ourselves to help in any way we can, we will get better results if we do that. It's not enough just to be a critic, but be a critic that has a heart to contribute. And I think we would all get there together. It is the idea that to get Lagos up, we must all put our hands together to make it the place of our dreams. That would be my message to Lagosians.
And finally, my final question. Tell us one funny experience you've had with Mr. Governor. One funny thing that he has done to you or for you or with you, or something that you just think about and you just laugh and say, this man. what makes him human, what experience that he had. Let me share something. Two things that I had. Okay, I had one experience when when SA investment was here. She also shared the fact that when governor was speaking at a press conference during COVID, he just announced her number on the phone. She didn't even know. And she was just getting phone calls from everywhere and said, why is everybody calling me? And said, oh, the governor announced your number. And you're like, oh my God, this one. My experience was, it was the final day. It was the Friday before swearing in at our office in Ikoyi. You remember that day very well. After we took that picture downstairs, we went upstairs and CPS came into the room at that time, Gwega, of course, and then he said, Echi, we have a bill from these people. Echi said, how much is it? He said, oh, it's okay, no problem. Let's just pay them. And he used a statement. He said, I want to ashar jail, which means they too have to eat. And that day, my respect for him increased. That this man is a man that cares about others. He said, this is how much I want to say. No, it's okay. They too need to eat something. That's a man that is empathic, who thinks about others. What is your own experience? Give us one. I'm sure you have many.
So one of the things about Mr. Governor is that he's full of empathy. And because he likes to pull people together and ensure that, going together is important. It's very easy to work with him. And even sometimes when some mistakes occur that is a clear mistake, he lightens it up in a way that you said someone just gave you a lifeline, But I'm a very intense person, and people that are intense like myself don't like to miss targets or miss certain points. And I'm always very delighted when you interact with Mr. Governor in a sleep and he throws to you a hand to just pull you up and say, look, the road in front of us is still a long road. Let's continue to run the race looking forward. It makes working with him makes working with him very easy. It makes it easy for you to be as creative as you want to be, because you can approach Mr. Governor at any time, and it's unimaginable the memory capacity that Mr. Governor has. When you talk to him about something that has happened, and you are trying to remind him, and he begins to call the names of all the people that were there and what each person said. And I said, wow, this capacity is quite a lot.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget, Lagos State, Chief Sam Egube. Thank you so much.
Already?
I always say that you're Tuma. You are our Tuma, sir. You are our Tuma in Lagos. So we're so delighted. Thank you for your insight. Thank you for your time. Not just myself, but everybody. I'm seeing a lot of comments, and everybody enjoyed your company. Mobolani Akure made some good comments. Victoria Suko, Idowu Gutono, Folashadi Alajiki. A lot of people have made great comments, and they're grateful for the time that you've shared with us and for being here. I know Mrs. Lawson, I saw her name earlier, Christiana Joshua, Soji Adeni, a lot of people have left comments both on Facebook, on YouTube, and all the various platforms expressing their gratitude to you for your time and the insight that you have shared. We look forward to seeing more of you. We pray for you that all will continue to be well with you and your family and the good people of Lagos State. Mr. Shola Adu, which I'm sure you know very well, says, well done. He says, well done. He's a regular. Thank you, Uncle Shola, for always watching the show every day. He's also saying, we're very grateful for your time. And all our people in Subeb, in the ministry, in civil service who tune in every day, We're very grateful. I'm sure that you know that leadership in Lagos is exceptional. Thank you, Honorable Commissioner, for your time. Everyone,
I also like to give my thanks for everyone who has come out to hang out with us this evening. I like the lightness of the conversation. I'd like to thank everyone for hanging out with Dayo and I this evening as we talked around various matters of Lagos.
Thank you, Honorable Commissioner, for even being a presenter when my network was acting off. Thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing you guys. We look forward to tomorrow. Please don't forget to join us tomorrow. Tomorrow we have the Commissioner for Transport in Lagos and also the Commissioner for Finance in Lagos. So get your question ready. I want to say a big thank you to Farms Group in Badagry for their continuous support and ensuring that the show continues successfully. Thank you, Honorable Commissioner, and do have a great day.
Thank you very much.